Hi there, I'm Ryan Little. I am a producer, director, and owner of Go Films, as well as a Stage 32 thought leader. Stage 32 is the global leader in entertainment education as well as networking. With almost 1 million members strong, our artists are always networking, learning, and pitching around the clock. If you want to learn more and get involved with Stage 32, just jump on over to stage32.com. Now, join me as I discuss with my fellow film director and actor, Stacia Crawford, about 5 things I wish I knew before I started directing. I thought that one of the things I wish I knew before I started directing was never block a scene without the actors there. And I learned this the hard way because, I was thinking to myself, well, if the actors are going through hair and makeup and all that stuff, I don't want to pull them because then they have to come over here and then we have to take them back and we lose time. But if you kind of think what you think the scene should be blocked out like, and then you start lighting it and they come out and then they're like start having ideas and all of a sudden the blocking changes and then you have to do a relight. So I've learned that it's important to always have your actors there when you decide what the blocking is for the scene. So that's my first one.
That's good. And I have to say, I kind of agree with you. What I do first is I kind of sort of block through with just my DP and my AD. So they have a sense of where I want the actors to go, but truly blocking, absolutely. So I do agree with you. You have to have the actors there because they'll sit when you want them to stand and so forth. So
exactly. And then the DP wants to pull her hair out or his hair out.
Right.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought of when you asked that question was how much prep work goes into actually directing. And, a lot of people think that we just sit in a chair and we just yell action and someone brings us coffee. And we are working for so long, for so many weeks prior to, with shot lists and storyboards and meetings with heads of production and constantly watching movies and other inspirations. So I think it's not that I didn't know there would be hard work going into it, but it's all consuming for months. I think that was the first thing for me.
Yeah. There's almost the majority of the work actually happens in prep more than it does the shooting. The shooting part's kind of the easy part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, here's my next one. It's better to get less takes and more coverage. And what I mean by that is stop chasing the elusive perfect take. It's hard to get that perfect take. And if you're just always trying to get this one perfect take, all of a sudden you'll have to move on to the next scene and you've got 1, maybe 2 angles, and that's all you're going to have in the editing room. And if you can kind of vision how you want to cut a scene together, you know that if you have this piece and this piece, that's probably where you're going to be using it. And move on and get another angle so that it looks like you had more time when you did the scene. So that's why I always think it's better to get more coverage and less takes.
That's good. Yeah, I'm a 2 to 3 take person, period, because I usually do lower budget stuff. So we just don't have the luxury of time or money. Technical issue, I agree with you 100%, like 2 to 3 takes. I would say for me, kind of along the same lines, I didn't realize how much I would have to pivot on the spot in the moment. So sometimes you storyboard something out or, we're supposed to be shooting outside. For instance, I was shooting a scene outside and the skies opened up and it literally started monsoon raining to the point where we had to go buy socks for everyone because it was raining so hard. So I had to pivot in the moment. And I find that happens so often on set. So really having a plan A and a plan B for when things like that happen that you have no control over and you can't afford to just stop down or wait or reshoot something.
Yeah. That reminds me of what it's like to work in Vancouver where I'm from. And, most people when it starts to rain are like, well, what do we do now? And they have a cover set or whatever. In Vancouver, they're just like, we keep shooting. That's kind of their mindset in Vancouver because it rains so much there. Okay, here's another one. Take an acting class. And the reason I suggest this one is so often we see directors who have technical skills. Maybe they know their lenses and, the line of access and all these things, but they have a hard time communicating with the actors. They hide in Video Village behind the monitor and don't give the actors the kind of feedback they need. But if you take an acting class, you'll learn to speak their language a little better. You'll get a better performance and you'll have a better relationship with the actors. So that was one of the ones I thought.
That was on my list as well. I am an actor. I still am an actor. So coming to a project, knowing how to speak the language, and we have shorthand, we do. But also to expound upon that, having actors who are willing to really trust you and open up to you and be free, and allowing you to actually direct them, as well as with each other, right? Because it's all so symbiotic, and the relationships are so important. So I've been so fortunate, especially on this project I'm on right now, that the actors are so willing to take direction and to work with each other and work off each other. So I think that's important. I always knew, because I was an actor, how important that was, but I think being in the director's chair, it's vital. It's vital to know how to talk to her in a way that because in a way that they can understand, and they want to give you the best performance. You want to pull out the best from them.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, so do we agree on that one then, or did I steal yours?
Same one. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll give you another one. Here we go. Your number one responsibility as a director is to make your day.
Yeah.
I know it's all about telling the story and communicating and all those things, and they're all very important. But if you do not make your day, you don't get to direct again. This is something I've learned. So it's very, very important that you make your day. That's number one priority. If you don't make your day, guess what? The jobs are going to slowly disappear. So that's an important one.
Make your day with good product.
Well, yes, of course, yes. And that comes from preparing in pre-production and knowing a plan and having a plan. So anyway, all right. Yeah, what other ones do you have? That's a very good
one. I was going to say most often, until we get to a certain point in our career, we don't have final say. So knowing that we have to work with producers and executive producers who may or may not have the same vision as us. We deliver a cut and we do the best we can. We make our days with the best that we can, but sometimes our hands are tied, right? Sometimes we just can't make the day in the way that we want it to, or we deliver a cut and the producers cut it all up. So being able to step aside from that and knowing that we did the best that we could with what we had, and ultimately it's their money, it's their product, it's their network or whatever, and allowing their collaboration without being too wounded if it's different.
Okay, here's my last one. Number 5 is, after you finish your first movie, you better have your next movie ready to go. You better have your pitch and your movie ready to go. You need to have a pile of scripts, because if you have a great movie and then you go to a meeting and they say, "What's next?" and you go, "I don't know," they probably won't have anything for you.
Right.
But what they're looking for the next thing that you are going to make. And because they're impressed by the last thing that you made, they're assuming that the next thing you want to make is probably in the same lane. Similar, like if you just did an awesome thriller, they're probably expecting to see a pitch from you from another thriller. So it's important to stay in your lane too, a little bit too, especially when you're first starting out. You don't want to be like, they're like, "Oh my gosh, your horror movie is amazing." They're like, "What do you got next?" And you're like, "Well, I've got this Christmas rom-com." And they're going to be like, I can't see it. I can't see the vision of that because I associate you with these horror films, right? So I think you need to be prepared. When you get your opportunity after you direct your first movie and someone's interested in you and wants to go again, it's very, very important to have something ready to share with them. Because, as I've said many times before, you're only the flavor of the month for a week.
For a week, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that we're doing this together, because I agree with you to a certain extent.
Sure.
Because I also feel like it's really important to say, well, I just did a thriller, but my heart is really with Christmas movies. So that's my next on my list. And I mostly do thrillers, but I have a Christmas one that I just found out is hitting theaters in 2 weeks on Friday, and then I'm doing a romance one. So they're all over the place. So I think staying versatile, but also just knowing what you want to do. So even if
sure.
I agree, I think that you could have something in place, or at least know that the type of movie you want to do, even if you don't physically have that script. Hey, I want to do a Western, set in the 1700s.
Yeah.
So mine is kind of similar. Mine is more, the fifth one is post. How, technology is changing our industry by the minute, and kind of being up to date on what is out there. Not necessarily everything you can do with that technology, but being aware of what you can do and what you can't do in post will help tremendously on set. So if you know, hey, I know I can take this humming sound out when I'm in post, so you don't waste 4 hours trying to figure out, why this hum, where this, or the
right,
it's coming, whatever the thing.
yeah.
So being aware of where technology is right now, so that you're not wasting time on set, and also being aware of the collaborative forces in post, with your composer and your editors, and being able to allow them to take lead in areas of technology that we might not be familiar with, just because we're on the set as opposed to in classes. So that was mine.
That's a great one. That is a great one. Well, I think between the two of us, I think we got like nine great tips for future film directors.
One we shared. Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was great. So, well, Stacia, thank you so much for helping with this vlog, and I wish you only the best.
Thank you.
On your future project. I'm excited to see it.
Dang it, we have to do a show together.
I know. We got to make that happen. So, all right, guys, anybody who watched the vlog, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. And we'll be sending you all those awesome film vibes your way to make your first feature.
Yes.